Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback sacking, 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction? What teams are losing? Franchises ruined. Fans in the stand booing.
Welcome to the Sim Podcast Show. I'm your co-host, Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs, and we're going into week 3. We just had week number 2. Ron, I know we did a instant reaction report on Monday, but how do you feel?
Better. Not as angry, about a win. I feel better. I think I've taken the time to put last week behind me. I'm confident we'll come out and perform a little better this week, and I have hope. I have faith. I gotta have faith.
Because you gotta have faith. You gotta have faith. Was it a song that's George Michael's song?
Mm-hmm.
Week 3. I know we're not gonna talk about our team's performance because that's in the past. We're looking ahead. But on the show today, we're going to talk about the NFL news. We're going to talk about our picks from last week, our top 5 teams ranking, and then our predictions followed by our upset specials. Ron, in the news this week, I know that you were there when you saw it in the game. Nick Chubb, just terrible leg injury. I guess now they just signed Kareem Hunt. But I was just telling you before we started recording, there's nothing wrong with Ford.
No, Ford's good. I think Hunt's going to be in there as depth, just in case something happens to Ford. Obviously, they like Ford. That's why they didn't re-sign Kareem in the first place. But Kareem knows the playbook. He can fill that role, that void that's there. And I don't know if he'll be ready to contribute right away this week. Maybe he is. He's familiar with the playbook, like you said. But I think Ford takes over as a starting running back. I think that was already announced, in fact.
Yeah, I think there's no way that Kareem Hunt is basically there for in case something happens for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see like them splitting carries and like what they did last year with Nick Chubb and him. I just feel like he's there for reassurance. And I saw a lot of the interviews with the ex-teammates, now new teammates again, and they were like, yeah, we're glad he's here.
Mm-hmm.
But what else are they going to say? This dude is part of your team now.
Right, exactly.
The other news is the Vikings are working with the Rams to get Cam Akers. So it begs the question, why get rid of Cook then?
Yeah, that's something I was wondering about, right? So for the Rams, they've been trying to trade Akers for like 2 years now, so don't know what the deal is there. They're not happy with him. They haven't been happy with him. They've been wanting to move on. They're doing that now with Kyren Williams, I think, out of Notre Dame as their starting running back. They traded him to Minnesota for Minnesota. Does that mean they lack confidence in Madison? I don't know. Madison, when he's played, he's looked pretty good. Now this year, the team has, their running game has been awful. It's not just all on Madison. I'm interested to see what this means. I don't know what's going to happen, but you're right. I don't know why get rid of Cook, who's been reliable, when there's still questions about your locker room as far as the running back situation.
And the other thing is, I know Cook was looking for like a long-term deal, but he was not worth the franchise tag because you would have had him for at least one more year. They basically didn't want to pay him the franchise tag money. So they were like, okay, we'll let him walk and look what happens. Now they got to will and deal and get Akers. And now he has to learn to play. So he's not going to get any playtime right away. At least I don't think he is anyways. Yeah. The other set of news is what the hell is going on in Chicago? I know the defensive coordinator just quit and they say health concerns. But I want to talk about Fields more than anything else because is the experiment over? Like, are people ready to move on from Fields?
It feels like that. I know some people are. And, listen, at this stage, right, it's year 3, I believe, for him. So he needed to take a leap forward. And there were signs of that last year. but he's been so inconsistent, especially when it comes to passing. So he runs the ball well. We knew that. But as a passer, he hasn't done well. They've brought weapons in for him. At least they've tried to. I don't know about the whole Claypool thing, but I don't know. They're at a point too, right? Year 3, you got to figure out, is he going to be your franchise? And if not, if you're not happy with who he is as a quarterback, and more importantly, what type of person he is, not happy with some of the comments he made today, trying to throw the coaches under the bus and stuff like that. If you don't think he can be the leader for your team, that's not the guy you're looking for, maybe it is time to move on.
I mean, I know the Tampa Bay defense is, pretty good but he had a horrible game, just barely over 200 yards, 2 picks, 61% rating, QBR 22. I mean, he has weapons. He had DJ Moore, right? Mm-hmm. He's healthy. So Chase Claypool, I know he's kind of a head case, but he's still a good player. So what's going on? I mean, is the defense going to hurt now that they got a new defense coordinator, or is it? Yeah,
they've been underperforming too. That whole situation with the coordinator seems really fishy. There were some fake, false reports about police, presence, I think at the facility. I don't know what's going on there, but the team has underperformed. They're 0-2 to start with. This is a game they probably thought that they would win, and they didn't. And more importantly, they didn't play well, offensively and defensively. So there's questions about their future, obviously, with being down 0-2. A lot of expectations, I think, for them coming into the season, and they haven't performed well.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting them to do great this year, but I think that they got on the hype train, and the fans started believing all the hype about, oh, we're going to be good. Aaron Rodgers is no longer in this division, but then hey, what about Detroit? What about Green Bay?
Yeah.
What about the Vikings? I mean, I know you can't just focus on one guy. You got other 3 teams that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
So let's go over our week 2 picks. I went with New England 20-17. Ron, you went with Miami 27-21. Final score was 24-17. I originally picked this game as a win when we did our review. Mm-hmm. And Miami kind of was, they had a good game against the Chargers, even though they let up a lot of points. I felt good about New England winning this game. I felt so good that I had a bet with you for a 12-pack. That's how good I felt. Mm-hmm. Ron, what happened? Why did New England just melt down?
I don't know if they melted down. I think they played pretty better, actually better than I thought they would. They just don't have sufficient weapons offensively, and then defensively, I think they had the right approach. They did a pretty good job of limiting, Tua to a lot of the underneath and middle pass. They didn't give anything up any big plays, I don't think. But, it's just a situation where Miami just has a better team, better roster, better, I don't want to say better coaching, but probably better coaching at this point too, but certainly a better roster. And New England, they're probably a year or 2 out. And on top of that, this is a really tough schedule that they had these first two weeks. So, I had them losing this game even before the season started. And then I was more confident about that when we made our picks last week. I'm not surprised that they lost.
Well, they do have the tough schedule, but they played so well against the Eagles last week that I was like, okay, there's hope for them. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be a 7-win team. There might be hope, but Miami came in and out. Like you say, it wasn't like a blowout. I mean, they kept it tight, but it was almost the same thing as last week. They got behind in the first quarter. They had to play catch up. They don't have the explosive weapons to do that. I mean, if you're not tight the whole game, you're not gonna come back if you don't have the explosive players.
There's a lot to like. I think, there's some good things, right? Gonzalez played well. I sent you the video on Twitter or X of his performance against Tyreek Hill. That's a great pick, man. Great pick.
I picked him as defensive rookie of the year because I feel like he's going to lock down whoever.
Yeah.
I thought that Jack Jones was going to be the number one cornerback for them, but it's Christian Gonzalez, the number one cornerback. So he's going to get all the matchups for the best receiver on the other team. Okay, the next game is Cleveland at Pittsburgh. Ron, you went Pittsburgh 20-17. I went Cleveland 24-14. Final score was 22-26 Pittsburgh. Ron, I know you're a Steelers fan, but it was 2.5. They didn't worry you one bit?
Not really. I think I was really confident going into this game. I thought our offense would rebound, and they didn't. They played just as atrocious. And then I knew our defense was going to be okay, even though we lost Hayward. I thought we had a lot of depth. I still think we have a lot of depth along the D-line. They played well. The D-line did. The defense did, period. They gave up the one big run. I don't think it was on the D-line. It was more just of a broken run, and Levi Wallace, our cornerback, once again missing a tackle. It's 2 games in a row that he's responsible for a big run. So, take those big runs out, and I think the defense, for the most part, has played well. There's still, I think at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if Levi Wallace is not starting this week, and they actually promote JPJ, Joey Porter, to that starting role, which, he probably should have started the season to begin with. But the defense, I knew they would be lights out. It's just going to be better once Cam gets back. We have depth. We have some young guys, some veterans. Offensively, it's a shit show.
I was about to ask you, how confident are you about the offense?
Not confident at all. It's a shit show. I think Penny himself has regressed. I don't like his look on the field. He seems like he's lost some confidence. He's missing layups. I don't like that at all. His timing is off. He seems to be moving a little bit in slow motion, not getting to his reads quickly or quick enough. And then just missing throws, right? And then the line's played terrible. Going back and looking at it a second time, they're not making their blocks. Najee's had a hole to run through at all. So, and then the play calling too, has been atrocious, and there's been lots of noise to fire Matt Canada this week. I think people are fed up, and we've talked about that extensively the last couple of years. That's not going to happen. That's not the Steelers' way. So they're going to have to figure out how to work through it. And then for me, I think it's about Kenny Pickett making better judgments. Just thinking faster. And then the team, for the rest of the team, for the rest of the offense, they got to execute better. So hopefully they can turn it around this week. This ain't the 49ers or the Browns defense that they're playing. So it's a much easier defense that they're playing against. They need to look good. They got to, get into the 20s this week.
I originally picked, when we did our roster review, I picked the Steelers to win this game. Then I switched back because they looked so bad week 1. I was like, you know what? This team looks bad. I'm going to switch to the Browns. Of course, I didn't know that Nick Chubb was going to go down. So was that dirty or not?
Absolutely not.
Because he had 64 yards up to that point.
No, he was, man, Nick Chubb he does that to everybody. He does that to the Steelers every time we play him. And the dude is a great running back. And again, it's not like our defense.
This is the thing. I looked at the replay, and he was already getting tackled on top by another Steelers player. Now, I know that Mika came... I think
they both got there at the exact same time.
No. One got there first. The first player that was hitting on top got there first. And Mika I felt like he was just going to finish the tackle. And I don't know if he went low on purpose or if he tripped. Because it wasn't his helmet that hit.
Yeah.
It wasn't his helmet that hit the knee. It was his body or something.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. You said you don't know if he went low on purpose. I can tell you right now he went low on purpose. Every player, linebackers included, will go low on Nick Chubb because if you don't, he's going to truck you. And a lot of players came out and said that you have to go low against Nick Chubb. So it was just unfortunate.
Yeah, but the thing is this: he definitely went low on purpose, but Nick Chubb was turning his back to him. So I was like,
no, come on. You can't watch it in slow motion.
Look at the replay.
Nick Chubb is not turning his back.
Look at the replay.
Nick Chubb is heading towards the end zone.
100% focus on the first guy.
He's trying to score.
I'm telling you. I'm just saying.
He got hit
this is what I saw.
His leg planted, right? He got hit low. He got hit up top. And because his leg planted, that's what happened. So
you telling me that Nick Chubb, who had 64 yards up to that point, was running upright and this guy just happened to hit him low?
I'm telling you, anyone who wants to tackle Nick Chubb, like face to face, is going low. Unless you're like a defensive lineman or something, you're not going to bring him down going high.
I'm telling you the facts.
Yeah.
And this is what I saw on the replay.
But you're assuming because he went low.
No. I'm just saying.
Purposely went low.
I'm just saying he went low.
Intended to injure him.
That's where
I'm drawing the line.
No.
There were no intentions to hurt.
No, you're putting words in my mouth now. You're putting words in my mouth.
Okay.
What I saw was Nick Chubb getting tackled up top by the Steelers.
Okay.
And Mika going down low. Now, I didn't say that was a projectile like he was aiming for his knees. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying this happened.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's I hope that Nick Chubb comes back.
Listen, I think Steeler fans, Tomlin, the whole NFL community has a lot of respect for Nick Chubb. He's a great running back, so there were no intentions of hurting him at all. Mika's not that player, and
Mika's not that player. No,
saying that is just stupid and a Steeler hater.
I'm just saying that's what happened. I'm not saying it was dirty.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah,
it's a bad play, but it happened. That's football, and that is why running backs need to get paid, right?
That's why they only last 3 years.
Exactly. And that's why like Saquon and Nick Chubb and all those other guys are on that phone, early in the year saying, hey, what do we got to do to get paid? Because I'm one injury away from being screwed. And I hope that doesn't happen to Nick Chubb, and I hope that won't happen to Barkley either. He's hurt, right? So,
and the other thing that I was reading about the running backs is that you don't get an NFL pension until you've been with the league 10 years.
No, I don't think that's true.
I read that.
No,
yes.
That's not accurate.
I
think it's like 5 years or something like that. It might be even less than that.
I'm telling you, when I saw that, I was like, there's no way it can be 10 years.
No, because the average player, if you look at the average, is like less than 2 years, I think.
The CBA needs to do something about that because that is nobody, unless you're a super duper excellent player, aka Tom Brady, there's no way that you're going to be in the league over 10 years.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
I'm trying to pull that up now because I know for a fact that that's not.
Well, look it up because when I read that, I had to do a double take.
Mm-hmm.
All right, while you look that up, let's go over upset specials. You had Baltimore at Cincinnati. It was 3.5, 24-21. Baltimore, final score was 27-24. You get credit for that because I know you like the Ravens. Washington at Denver. I went 24-17. Washington. It was 35-33. So at least I got the upset special. So at least I get something out of this terrible week.
Yeah, so here it is. To be eligible for an NFL pension, a player must play in the NFL for at least 3 years or 3 seasons or be considered vested for being on a team's roster for at least 3 games. Regular season or postseason. Each season played counts as a credit, which determines the pension amount received. So 3 seasons to be eligible for a pension. There's no way it would have been 10 years.
That was 10 years is a long
10
time.
years, you're talking about like maybe 10 players, right?
Yeah,
And they're most likely quarterbacks or punters. That's it. So
when I saw that, I was like, this can't be right.
Right. So I mean the players union, they're fighting for immediate pension eligibility, right? So
listen, this league makes billions of dollars. Why not?
And lifetime medical. Right.
Oh, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to our top 5 power rankings. Ron, who do you got?
So this week I got the 49ers number 1. So I think I had the Eagles last week at number 1. Eagles number 2, Cowboys 3, Ravens 4, Dolphins 5. So what's changed since last week? I have Dallas coming in all the way up to number 3. I didn't have them in my top 5 last week. And then I have the Lions dropping out this week. So
yeah, basically have the same thing, just the Lions dropping out. And then I have Miami moving up. So it's basically the same. And I saw some power rankings where they had the Chiefs, and I was like, the Chiefs lost a game. And it's not like they manhandled the Jaguars this week. And I know they won. They had a good defense, but it's not like they were overpowering them.
Right. So no team's going to go undefeated. And these rankings will always move. And they probably had most people probably had Kansas City somewhere in the top 3 to start the season. I personally had, I've talked about the Ravens all year. I had the Ravens as my number 1 team. Now that has changed slightly with them losing Dobbs. But, the Chiefs are probably more likely than not, they're going to finish within the top 5 somewhere. Right. Now, does that mean they should be number 2 or number 1 right now with a loss? Probably not. Even with Jones back and, some of their players back, I don't think they should be number 1 with a loss. But, and I don't have them in my top 5 right now, but at some point in the season, as they start to rack up some wins, assuming they do, they'll probably be within the top 5.
Yeah, to me, the Chiefs are not very dominant as far as the other 5 teams that I have above them. So I can see the Chiefs at being a 6, maybe 7, but they're not in my top 5. All right. Let's move on to our week 3 predictions. Let's start with New England at the Meadowlands. I always said the Meadowlands, but it's MetLife Field now. I got them winning 13-10. Ron, what do you have?
16-13. So we both have a similar game. They're the favored, right? 2.5 favorite.
2.5. Yep.
The Jets. I think this game is going to be a low scoring game.
I agree.
Both these defense are pretty elite. Jets probably top 5. Patriots somewhere in the top 10. Zach Wilson's going to make some more mistakes for sure. I think Bill will be able to scheme up a defense against him. I think Mac Jones and the Patriots are going to have a hard time scoring points too against the Jets defense.
Scoring points, running the ball.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they had trouble running the ball against Miami because I think Miami made the adjustments from game to game. They have a good defensive coordinator, Vic. Yeah, but same thing. I just don't see either team really breaking the 20-point barrier. I don't even know if offensively if the Jets scored. I think this 10-13 scores might be a defensive touchdown or a special team touchdown. I just don't think that this is going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what the over under looks like for this game. I guess it's probably like low 30s, maybe. If it's even
low 30s, wow, yeah. might be in the
20s. I don't know if I've ever seen over
37 over and under.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
37. I mean, that would mean
each team would be 15 points.
More,
15, 17, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
The next game we have Pittsburgh at Las Vegas. They're underdogs by 2.5. I got them winning this game 20-17. Ron, what do you got?
17-14, and I mentioned earlier that I need to see Pittsburgh get into the 20s offensively. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think we're still see some struggles just the way they've played the first 2 weeks offensively. So I think it's going to be a struggle. I'm not surprised Vegas is a favorite here, but I got Pittsburgh going in to Vegas. There's going to be a lot of Pittsburgh fans there, that's for sure. It'll probably be like a home game for them. I got them winning 17-14.
See, I was watching that Bills-Raiders game this weekend before I went to work, and I was like, wow, the Garoppolo is pretty good. Devontae Adams is excellent. Everything thrown his way, he caught. Whether it was low, high, he beat his man. He was just on point. But the Raiders' defense is awful.
They're awful. They're terrible.
Awful. They're terrible. They let the Bills go up and down, do whatever they want.
And Garoppolo is a bit of a statue, though, right?
He's a statue, and once in a while, at least in one game, he's going to make a dumb mistake.
Yeah.
He's going to turn it over, fumble, intercept it. So I feel like this game, Pittsburgh should score over 20 points.
I feel the same way. I just don't see it happening.
This is the game, and when I look back at our roster review, I think I have them winning 4 games in a row. Yep. So I got them winning against the Raiders. I got them winning against the Texans. I got them winning against the Ravens on that Sunday. So this is where, this is where they actually start racking up wins. So I'm very confident that this is a game where things start clicking.
Well, I was until this last game. I gave the first game, I chalked that up to the 49ers having a great defense, and I thought Browns had a good defense too, but we looked competent, and we looked anything but competent on offense, and I don't have faith in Matt Canada. I think Kenny will turn it around, but it's not going to be tomorrow or this week. I think it's going to be a process for him. And you would think that this is an easy win, but it's not going to be like I said earlier, they're the underdogs. The Steelers are. So, let's hope that they get to 20 points. If not, we're just going to have a repeat conversation. Everyone's going to be talking about firing Canada again. Stephen A. Smith, hey, Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg is going to get on Instagram,
right?
And just start, hey, fire Matt Canada,
people, they're frustrated.
Matt Canada is
horrible.
We're
talking, what's the point? It's like me facing this wall and having a conversation with a wall. It's just not going to happen. I realize that if it didn't happen for Big Ben, right, who's your Hall of Fame quarterback, they didn't fire the coordinator for him. It ain't going to happen for a rookie quarterback.
But yeah, for a second year, it's not going to happen. Ron, who is your upset special?
I flip-flopped on this one. As far as who I chose, I ended up going with Philly losing 27-24 to Tampa. They're in Tampa for this game. I have Tampa winning the division, don't forget. Philly is good. They're a good team. They gave up 30 points, I think, last week, though. I don't know what's up with their defense, giving up that many points. So they're coming to Tampa. I assume it's going to be 90s, right? It usually is in the 90s here in Florida. It's a tough place for any team to travel to in September. Teams kind of struggle with the weather here in Florida. So I see Tampa winning this game, pulling off an upset here. Mayfield's been great. Mike Evans has been Mike Evans. The running game has looked good. Godwin's good. And we got sufficient weapons. Our defense is pretty good. I think that Tampa's going to pull off an upset.
Okay, Ron. I was looking at the Buffalo at Washington. Buffalo is favored 6.5 points. It met our threshold. And I know we talk so much crap about Ron Rivera and this Washington team. And I actually like this team. I like Sam Howell. I like the defense. I know they're 2-0, but that's, they haven't had any real competition yet. But they did beat Denver at Denver, I think it was, or at home, I'm not sure. I got them winning. I got them holding down Josh Allen 17-14. I think they pulled that off. I think the last 2 games, they've been close. The Bills just don't look as dominant as they used to be. I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see them winning this game. Yeah, they played Cardinals and they won, and they played the Denver and they won. So I like this Washington Commanders team.
So a couple things, right? So that was the one I flip-flopped on. So I initially had this as my upset special because I do like how the Commanders have been playing. I went back and looked at the last 2 games, and I do not like the fact that their defense gave up so many points against Denver. I know it was in Denver, and I know Russell Wilson's playing well. Denver does have some weapons, but to give up that many points scared me away from this game. The second thing, you mentioned Ron Rivera. The Panthers winning has nothing to do with Ron Rivera. It has everything to do with their coordinator.
Eric Bieniemy?
Yes, Bieniemy. He has completely turned their offense around, and they're now scoring, like 20 plus points every week. So,
that Robinson Jr. had 87 yards.
Yeah, he's a good running back.
He was against Denver, but 87 yards, pretty good. Howell, 299. I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And I think that whole defense thing, they're going to fix that.
I think Buffalo, what are they, 1-1 right now?
Yeah, they 1-1.
They're one of those teams that can all of a sudden just like put up like 40 out of nowhere on you. And then with Washington giving up 30 last week to Denver, it scared me away from that game. So that's why I kind of moved off of that one. But it would not shock me if the Commanders actually beat the Bills.
I also been seeing a trend lately with a lot of NFL head coaches calling plays, because McDermott is doing it in Buffalo. McCarthy is doing it with the Cowboys.
McVay
is doing it with the Rams. So, I don't know what's going on. Do they not trust their offensive coordinator? Because I don't think Cowboys even have an offensive coordinator.
So, most teams are doing this now. They're either hiring an offensive coordinator as a head coach, and the coordinator calls the plays, or they're hiring a defensive coordinator as their head coach, and that person most likely calling the defensive plays. I don't know if I agree with it. There's, if you look back 10, 15 years ago, usually the head coach is not making
involved.
Those calls.
Yeah,
he's not involved. It's the coordinators, and he's just managing it. I'll be honest. I was one of those people that was completely against it, but seeing some of the success that some of these coaches have had is, I'm starting to come around to it. Now, one thing I will say is, if you're a head coach calling the offensive game, I can tell you for sure, like those coaches are not paying any attention to what's happening on defense. And McVay has said that. The Dolphins coach has said that. He doesn't have time to look to see what's going on in defense, because he's got to prepare for the next series, right? So he's come out publicly and said, hey, I leave that to my defensive coordinator. He handles defense. I don't really pay attention. I might call timeout and stuff like that. I'm solely responsible for the offense.
Yeah, and listen, it is working. Like you said, it is working. You know what's not working is having Bill Belichick be the coach and the GM.
Yeah, that I don't like.
That it's, at first I was like, it's working because he kind of knows the players that he wants to coach and blah, blah, blah. But now I feel like maybe he needs to give one of them up, either be a GM full time and give up the head coaching, or vice versa. I just don't think that it's working the way that he wants to. And he's been a GM for years now.
Yeah. Coaches should have input, but not be the final decision-making person on who's, on your roster, and certainly how much to pay those players. Because people are, coaches are just going to say, well, I can find a new you. And if you don't want to take this low ball payment, I'll go and find somebody else. And that doesn't always work. And I think, with the last few years with Belichick, I think you've seen that, not just with Brady leaving, but even with him when he was there, he wasn't signing a lot of other players. And the team is kind of, Brady has kept them afloat, but they haven't been what they used to be. So, I definitely don't think the coach should be the GM at the same time.
I think this all started when Bill Parcells gave that famous quote about, oh, I'm the chef, but I'm not allowed to go get the groceries. Someone else gets it from.
Yeah.
And I feel like that.
But that's your job, right? Your title is coach.
Yeah, your title is coach, but I feel like
you're supposed to coach anybody that's on your team.
It doesn't matter the talent level.
Exactly. You're supposed to make them better.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that now you're the chef and you're buying the groceries and you're negotiating I think that's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
A little bit too much.
I agree.
What do I know? It's only, terrible 5 years. Ron, what do you want to end the show with?
Today's Wednesday. Got a good game tomorrow, right? Well, not really.
You got a good game
I have
tomorrow?
to think about that for a second.
Wait a second.
So,
tomorrow is the Giants versus the 49ers.
yeah, that's going to be a bloodbath, I would think.
I wish we had our friend Chris here because he was so confident that the Giants would make it back to the playoffs. But now
he had them winning 11 games.
He had them winning 11 games. But now no Saquon Barkley, at least for the foreseeable future. And the $40 million man is not really producing like he should. So should we, should he be concerned? That's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. I mean, they lose this week. They got the Seahawks. I had them winning against the Seahawks. So did Chris. Seahawks played pretty dang good last week. Then they got the Dolphins, the Bills, the Commanders, the Jets. Maybe they beat the Jets. Maybe.
That game, I had the Giants winning, but it's a toss up. Now it's a toss up.
Tough season.
It's a tough season
for the Giants fans. But hey, it might be a tough season for the Steelers fans. So it's been a tough season already, even though we're 1-1 as well.
Yeah, this is listen, it's early. We still got 15 games left. So
how are you feeling, by the way? Because last week when I talked to you before they played, you were talking
playoffs. I was talking playoffs. I said, forget about 9 wins. I think they're gonna go 10. And then they just made the same errors and the same mistakes. So it's almost like, who's coaching these people? Like, don't you watch the tape? I don't know. If they keep making these same mistakes over and over again, I'm like, dude, you're just not gonna do it.
Yeah.
You don't have that Tom Brady on your team anymore.
Yeah. Well, Max played good though. He's played well.
Listen. I'm not saying Max played bad. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying this is like a mid-level team, like in the high 15, 16. It's not a top 10. It's definitely not a top 5 team anymore. So it's like, hey, this is reality without Tom Brady.
Get yourself an actual number 1 receiver. Things would change.
If Bill actually spends the money, but that doesn't seem likely. And like I was saying to our friend Steve, it's going to be like this for the next couple of years. So why get my hopes up? Why say, hey, we might go on a run, but we don't have the players to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's only game 15 weeks left. So let's not panic. If you are like the Chiefs or maybe Cincinnati, I don't know what's going on with Joe Burrow. I'm saying like all the teams that we expect to be there at the end of the year, don't panic yet. That's all I'm saying.
Not at all. It's too early.
It's too early.
The season's just now getting started. So
it's too early, and we just witnessed a really bad injury. 2 of them, actually. Week 1, Rodgers. Week 2, Nick Chubb. So, you could be an injury away from your team going downhill or your team having the best spot.
Oh, wait. Before we leave, I need to talk about something. I should have added this to the list. PFF. I don't know if you follow Pro Football Focus in their rankings.
Yep.
And they have sent this to you for like top defensive players. Why is it that they've always, like, they have Myles Garrett ahead of TJ Watt like every single year. Like, Myles Garrett had like 2 tackles, I think, this game. TJ Watt had like a couple sacks, a touchdown. I mean, if you look at the stats for the last 4 years, how can anyone in their right mind argue that Myles Garrett is a better player than TJ Watt?
Sometimes,
why do people do that? How do anyone argue that Micah Parsons is a vastly better player than TJ Watt? Is it the personality or something of TJ and just him just being more quiet and reserved?
This is the thing. Like, ultimately, this is an entertainment business, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like with PFF and Barstool and even the NFL Network, they'll put some controversial stuff just to get a rise out of fans. Mm-hmm. You know, just to get a rise out of Steelers fans, just to get a rise out of Cowboys fans. I mean, this week I saw that they're comparing Micah Parsons to LT, to Lawrence Taylor.
That's what
and I was like, he's not there yet. This is his 3rd year.
Yeah. Look, don't get me wrong. Micah Parsons is a great player, top 5 defender. I'll give him that. But if you ask me who would I rather have, Micah Parsons or TJ Watt, I'm going to tell you TJ Watt every time. Yeah, he's only going to line up in that one position where Micah's more versatile. You can put him in a couple different spots. But I know TJ Watt's going to, if he's healthy, it's a guaranteed 20 sacks. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. 20 sacks.
Yeah, I don't know how, because PFF does do a lot of analytics, which I appreciate and people out there appreciate, but sometimes it's just clickbait.
Yeah,
it's just clickbait. That's as soon as I see it, I was like, oh, that's clickbait. Mm-hmm. And that guy for Pro Football America, Fiora.
Oh yeah.
All he does is go on the attack against the Patriots. All he does is just attack the Patriots.
He says some dumb stuff. He's the same person that said Matt Canada might be hired for Coach of the Year, for a coaching job if the Steelers go out and play well.
I'm telling you. I can see now why he got on a Twitter battle with what's his name for the Fox Sports, the big guy Whitfield.
Oh yeah.
I can see why, but it's just. That's the business, I guess. You gotta get clicks. You gotta get readers.
Outrageous
yeah.
Thing.
Like Stephen A. Smith. Sometimes he says some crazy things that I just turn off the TV. I'm like, all right, that's enough for me today. So yeah. So welcome to the NFL in the year 2023. It's just, if you can say outrageous things, you're gonna get lots of clicks. You're gonna get lots of eyes, and people are gonna, like you and I right now. We're gonna talk about it. Because we're like, how do you come up with that?
Yeah.
How did you come up? The numbers don't support it. So how do you come up with that? Anyways, yeah. So week 3, we got our teams winning, both of them. Let's go upset specials. Let's go Steelers. Let's go Patriots. Let's get back on the horse.
Yes, let's do it. Let's go.
And I'll say peace.
Peace.
Hey guys. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on Shut Your Mouth Podcast at gmail.com. That's ShutYMPodcast at gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram at SYM Podcast. Thanks again.